Tarot by Fergus here, and today I want to talk a little bit about dimensional shift. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot over the last, 2 months or whatever. Now, dimensional shift, there was a lot of talk about it in 2012, right? With the Mayan calendar and all of this, whatever. So, back then, I remember feeling something very subtle, like a gate opened, that wasn't open before, and it just felt like there were things that were possible that maybe were not possible previously, but it was subtle. It was really subtle. Um, then, in November of 2015, it was the day that Donald Trump got elected president of the United States. I was sitting home playing Skyrim or something, and listening to the newscast. And I remember when they were talking about the results of the different states and all of this, it sounded like it was coming from another dimension, right? It seemed very alien to me, just as the words were being said, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened, right? It just felt in here when I was hearing the words like something changed. And suddenly I was in an alien place. And I thought about it a lot back then, and I was trying to figure out if Trump being elected caused this, whatever, this shift, or not. And ultimately, what I came to is that it wasn't the election that caused the shift. The election could only come out as it did if the shift had happened. So they coincided, but I do not believe that the election caused that shift. Anyway, November of 2015, there was a pretty massive shift that I felt in my body, and it was like, what the fuck just happened? Okay, so there was another one that happened like 2 or 3 months ago. Another one of these that I've come to understand as dimensional shifts, right? And back in the day in 2012, what they would say is like, we all raise our consciousness, and then we as humans raise our consciousness, and then bam, we just like shift into another dimension. Um, so, what seems to have happened? I think that's true. Back then, it was mostly speculation, right? Oh, this is what's going to happen. Basically, based on nothing. Nobody fucking knew what was going to happen. It was just a bunch of pretty much new age garbage at the time, and speculation. So now I believe that we've moved from speculation to observation because this shit is actually happening right now. So I've been thinking about this a lot, especially the one that happened with COVID, right? So there was a dimensional shift that happened, and I feel like in the last 3 months, there's been a couple of them. I think the shifts are a series of shifts, and some of them are kind of subtle, and other ones are like in your face like that. So I've been pulling cards on this, right? And the first one that I pulled, and it was to find out if COVID 19 caused this dimensional shift, the one that has happened like 3 months ago or whatever. So the card that comes out for that, move it so you can see it here, is the Emperor. Now, at first glance, the Emperor is saying, yes, COVID caused the dimensional shift. But as I was studying the card, the thing that really sticks out is this little bull here. And the bull is being dominated by the Emperor, right? So COVID is the bull. It basically implied that, yes, COVID 19 caused the dimensional shift. But COVID 19 was a hammer, and the hammer was wielded by a hand, right? The tool didn't act by itself. So then I tried to find out, well, what is the hand that wields the hammer? So the card that came out was the Lovers. Um, The way that I understand this, the lovers is basically our decisions and the things that we have dedicated ourselves to. Um, from what I can tell, the dreams and the things that we were trying to create before this happened, it's like everyone had all these wishes, and the wishes coalesced and created this scenario. I mean, and it is just like what they say when they talk about, oh, our consciousness raises or whatever, and then we just end up in a new dimension. But this is like very personal stuff amongst individual people. My personal goals and the things that I have decided that I'm going to do since this happened, and I lost my fucking job, but then I ended up getting this government assistance, which took a long time to get, but once it started happening, now I've got time and I actually have money to do whatever I want. So now I get to see what my ideal day looks like. I've been able to get some tools that is going to make all of the things that I'm trying to do easier. And I believe that's what the Lovers is talking about here. And almost everyone I know, since this shift has happened, has some new thing in their life. There's like a new pastime or this new thing that, I mean, maybe a new tool just like plops into your life. And it looks like it's really about utilizing those things because we are now in a world where the rules have changed and it looks like it's going to be easier for us to do the things that we really want to do and our commitments. So then I pulled another card because this is a bubble, right? So we're inside this bubble when all the businesses are shut down and like all of this stuff. So it's going to shift again post COVID, whatever that means. I feel like there's a lot of changes that are going to be permanent, but once businesses can start again, so there's going to be another shift. So I pulled a card to try to see what the next shift is going to be about. Now, this card, the Temperance card, shows up for this, and this is almost the exact opposite of what happened in November of 2015. As that shift happened, everything was about hatred and venom and division and fucking bullshit. Like, seriously, just stupid bullshit. Everybody's stupid bullshit projections were on 10. And there was no rational thought. There was no logic happening. It was pure emotion and like troll energy turned up to 10. Fucking disgusting. I really didn't like it at all. Anyway, so the next shift, we have the Temperance card. Now, the Temperance card is about understanding. And the Temperance card is about patience and forgiveness. So it looks like as we're set up to maybe do the things that we've dedicated ourselves to do, the most important thing in putting this into place is going to be understanding and forgiveness, the exact opposite of 2015. But it looks like we won't be able to accomplish the things that we're trying to accomplish unless the hate that we have been holding on to is released and we forgive the people who have fucked us over. And ultimately, I think about this a lot. Everybody does what makes sense to them to do at the time. That's all anyone does, and that's all anyone has ever done. And at the end of the day, you can't really fault anyone for doing what makes sense to them to do. And people have different ideas of what's the right thing. But the hatred, there has been one person in the last 20 years that has inspired hatred within me. I'm not a hateful guy, but it did happen once, right? So over the last couple weeks, I've had a couple dreams that I've seen this person and I've forgiven them in the dream. That was like, that happened before I pulled this card, the Temperance card, but it looks like in order for us to move forward, we have to let go of hate, and we also have to be understanding. So when there's something that inspires this like backlash troll energy bullshit, just try to stop for a second and understand why the person that you hate so much, why they're doing what they're doing. Because there's a fucking reason they're doing what they're doing. They don't do things for no reason, and almost no one is just purely evil. Everyone is doing what makes sense for them to do. But that looks like it's the great lesson of the upcoming shift, and it's understanding, and it's patience, and it is forgiveness. So good luck on this, because that stuff, none of that stuff is easy, right? But it looks like it's incredibly important. So good luck as we move forward. I hope any of the things that you have decided to dedicate yourself to, that the path is becoming clear, and best of luck as far as that goes. Peace and long life.